Hey everyone, it's Amy Sherman from MLive and Michigan's Best. And I'm not going to lie, it's my favorite time of the week. It's time for Beer of the Week. And this week, Gonzo is not with us, but I've got some special guests who are going to be joining me from the Drafting Table in Wixom. Please welcome Aaron and Kristen Resnick, the owners of the Drafting Table, plus the brewer and the canner and the everything. You guys are a husband and wife team. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
I'm so glad that you guys could join us. I have gotten to visit you one time when we were on our search for Michigan's best new brewery a few years ago, and I haven't gotten to come back. And the other day I was at my favorite bottle shop in Grand Rapids, Rishi's International Beverage, and they had your beer in cans, and I was so excited to see it. It was the first time I'd seen it on the shelf that I grabbed some, and then it worked out that you guys could join me for Beer of the Week. So that's great. You guys seem to be expanding your business outside of the Detroit metro area, and that's exciting.
Yes, yeah, it's been very exciting. A lot of work.
a lot of work. You guys started off in 2016, correct?
Yes.
And I love your story because, like I just said, you guys are a married couple. But tell us how you met at Michigan State. And Kristen, tell me about your baptism into craft beer.
So me and Aaron met because we both attended Michigan State University, and we were in the design program together. So I was studying interior design and Aaron was studying landscape architecture. And so we met through the studio space because we shared, it was like our computer lab. So it was on our second date. We went to Crunchies in East Lansing.
A great spot.
It was over on release day, and Aaron was drinking a Hop Slam, a pint of it, and he turned the wrong way and accidentally knocked his beer. It went all over me and all over my lap. So it was kind of embarrassing at the time, but
And it was my first beer, I believe. So
it was. He wasn't drunk.
Why are you drinking Hop Slam on Oberon release day?
Well, Oberon wasn't out yet, so at midnight it was getting tapped.
I got you're priming the pump with, you know, a really nice beer.
Kill the palate.
I love that. Larry Bell bringing people together again. How did you so if you started off as designers, both in landscape and interior design, how did you open a brewery?
I think my love for beer came through my travels to Europe. And part of that was study abroad with the landscape architecture program. And I got to try plenty of wonderful beers over there. Certainly guide a lot of the styles that we tend to focus on today. And when I came back, I just kind of went head first into the craft beer scene and started home brewing and kind of took off from there.
And Kristen, what's your side of the story then? I mean, obviously you're going to support your husband, but you've really taken a very active role. I mean, that's not what you studied to do.
It was not. So initially I was just supposed to design the space. And then as we were opening up, it was before we opened, Aaron just needed help. And so I was there to help him out. And then as time progressed, then I ended up coming on full time. And now I act as the general manager for a Drafting Table.
Where you do a little bit of everything.
Of everything. So like today, right before we came on with you, we're canning a beer.
Can you, looking back as a student at Michigan State University, could you even have imagined that this is how it would have turned out?
Absolutely not. So when I did meet Aaron, he told me that his ultimate dream in life was to open up a brewery. So it's pretty cool to see where we were when we first met and then where we are now.
I like it. So dreams do come true. That's so amazing. For people who haven't been to Drafting Table, you guys are located in Wixom, which is in the Detroit metro area, I would say, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And what is your brewery like? Tell us a little bit about, kind of walk us through it virtually in your head. Just tell us what it's like.
So our brewery here, it's about 5,000 square feet. Half of it is our brewing area. The other half is our tap room. And then our tap room, it's very large and open. It has a lot of natural light. We have windows on all three sides. And then on our bar side, then that's the wall that separates the brewing from the pub. It's airy. It has a lot of texture. It just reminds us of a beer hall.
There's that interior design degree coming from you. That's what I remember most about your place are those windows. You have these floor to ceiling windows, and when you walk in, it is very light, very airy. It's kind of I don't want to say it's modern, but it is in a way modern. But then you have a lot of like wood tables and things like that, so it still feels very warm and homey in a sense. Not cozy, but homey.
Right. Yeah.
I like it. Well, Erin, tell us a little bit about your brewing philosophy at Drafting Table. What kind of beers do you focus on? Do you have a certain style? Are you only doing traditional brews, or you kind of explain what goes behind the scenes in the beers?
Sure. Like I mentioned, through my travels, I got really enamored with German, British, more traditional styles. However, we cover the whole gamut. I mean, we're all over the place. From one of our flagships is a milkshake IPA brewed with vanilla and oranges. But we also, on the other side, we have Pro Pils, which is very traditional. Yep, there we go.
And which is, let's say it together. It's our pick for beer of the week.
So really, we're all over the place with the styles that we brew.
Gotcha. That milkshake with the orange sounds like it would taste like a push-up, does it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. Well, let's talk a little bit about our pick for beer of the week, and I'm going to actually crack mine open here. Let's all try it together.
Me too.
All right.
So this beer, this is the Professional Pils. You guys like to refer to it shorthand as the Pro Pils. I instantly started to call it that. And this is actually, Erin, one of your favorite beers, right?
Yes.
So tell me about this beer. First of all, for those who don't know, a Pilsner, let's explain kind of what that is. It's almost like the original beer style, I like to say. Look at how clear that is, guys. That's gorgeous. Nicely done. That's a beautiful looking beer. My thing about Pilsners is that it's actually one of the hardest beers to brew because there's nothing to hide behind. There's no additional flavors. There's no lactose. There's nothing else you're putting in there to hide behind. You have to be spot on right with a Pilsner. Would you agree?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, I like it. It even smells crisp, I want to say, which is a good sign in a Pilsner. Okay, so tell me about this beer, Erin. Tell me, how do you make it? How did you come up with it? If you were traveling in Europe, then you most likely, I'm betting, went to Czechoslovakia and maybe to Prague and the home of Pilsner. Did that kind of inspire you on this beer?
Actually, I have been to well, actually, it was Czechoslovakia when I was there. I think I was like 4 years old, so I wasn't drinking. Czech Pilsner.
I hope you weren't. Yeah.
Maybe sampling. I don't know. No, this being a German Pilsner, obviously inspiration came from Germany, and I guess I should explain the difference between a German and Czech.
I was just going to ask you. Good job. Bringing to mind.
Yeah, water profile's probably the best place to start. This tends to be a harder water profile with the German Pils versus a very soft water profile on the Czech Pils.
How does that relate to flavor then? For those of us who aren't like so scientifically oriented towards making of beer, what does that mean for flavor?
Sure. So there are more ions in the water that contribute to the flavor in a harder water profile. One being sulfate, which increases or accentuates hop profile and crispness in the beer. It kind of lends the beer, or it pushes the beer towards a hoppier, crisper flavor profile versus Czech Pils, which is softer.
and more rounded out.
Exactly.
I instantly get a little bit more hop than I normally would in a pilsner. And I really like that personally because I'm kind of a hophead. So I think that's great. Now, if you're not in Germany or Czechoslovakia and you happen to be in Wixom, how do you adjust your water to work for what you're doing?
Sure, our water profile is pretty spot on for it. We do have to add some sulfate into the water though to bring it to a level where we get the desired flavor profile.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So you can twist the water around, but still,
Yep.
it's the most important ingredient in beer, to be honest, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I think we're pretty lucky that we have some pretty decent water here in Michigan.
Yeah.
We are
very fortunate.
Yeah, for the most part. So what have you guys been doing since the pandemic started? You're obviously still brewing beer for distribution. Are you also doing like curbside takeout, anything like that?
Yep. So when everything started happening kind of mid-March, we shut down our tap room to where people could come in and order beer by the glass. And we went to curbside pickup. And we adjusted, I think, pretty quickly to the change. And that's all we've been doing is canning. Canning and selling out the door, selling it to our distributor. And it's been really cool to see kind of where our beer has ended up. For instance, in Grand Rapids, which is very awesome.
Which is really cool. Now, do you guys only distribute in Michigan at this time?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I gotcha. And what beers are you distributing?
Oh, as much as what we can. So mostly our flagship beers. So Professional Pills, we have Resolute IPA, Witty Yank. It's a wheat beer. The Orange Bruleus that we were talking about, that milkshake IPA.
And that's a great name.
That has been a great seller for us, and it's super tasty. And there's nothing quite like it out in the market, which is very cool. But then sometimes we send some of our one-offs or seasonals out. So our Hefeweizen, we're canning that later today. So hopefully some of that will make it to you guys too.
I'll look for it for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you guys already had a canning line before this all started, correct?
Yeah, we did. We were very fortunate to have been able to invest in that last year. So we've already been canning for over a year. And when this all happened, where our tap room had to shut down, we transitioned to packaging everything instead of canning it, or instead of kegging it.
Right. And I know that that's been a struggle for some breweries that weren't set up to do canning, and now they're trying to quickly figure out how to get that beer out there. Because I mean, beer has a shelf life. It doesn't last forever. Well, I mean, it could last forever, but it won't be as delicious as it was in the beginning, right?
Yeah, correct. So yeah, we were really fortunate to have been able to have this piece of equipment beforehand. I don't know what we'd do without it, really.
Every night you should go and hug the canning line.
I know.
Well, Aaron, let's talk just a little bit more about the Pro Pills. Again, our pick for beer of the week from Drafting Table. We're with Kristen and Aaron right now, who are the co-owners and husband and wife duo behind the brewery located in Wixom, just inside Metro Detroit area. This beer, because it's such a nice, crisp, light beer, what kind of foods would you maybe think about pairing this beer with for optimum tasting pleasure?
Sure, I'm by no means a food pairing expert, but honestly, because it does have some bitterness, it might go really nice with like Thai food. A lot of people would pair IPAs with that sort of cuisine, but that might be a really fun pairing. Otherwise, yeah, generally pizza, hot dogs.
When we were open in the pub here every Wednesday, we would have a Mexican restaurant come and do a pop-up with a la carte tacos and burritos. And this tasted great with that, with Mexican food.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think a Pils goes really great with heavily spiced or even a little bit spicy foods, because it can kind of, you're not competing with it. It's more of a complementary pairing as opposed to a contrast pairing. And it's just a nice thirst quencher, easy drinker, goes with everything. I always call Pils, because essentially, Bud Light and Miller Lite are Pilsners. It's a gateway beer. It's a beer that can introduce you to craft beer. If you might be not so into the super hoppy profile ones like Hop Slam that got dumped in your lap, Kristen.
Yeah.
This is something that's like very attainable, very accessible to people who maybe want to try a good craft beer. Would you agree?
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting too in the pub. A lot of our consumers, they like IPAs, but then within the last year or two, they have been slowly switching over to lagers and to this pilsner. It's been cool to see the progression in people's flavors and what they enjoy drinking.
Isn't that funny how it's changed? Especially like I look at it over the last 20 years where we started and Oberon seemed kind of crazy. Then we all got super into the IPAs, and now it's almost like people are coming back around to that really good example of craft, and that's what a pilsner is to me.
Yes.
Yep. And you had mentioned people liking IPAs, kind of going back, or in our pub going to this. I did want to mention it is so 40 IBU. So it is on the high side for a German Pils. Within the style guidelines, I think 40 is the top. So it is kind of that, it kind of bridges that gap with bitterness at least.
And yeah, that's surprising that it comes in at 4. So for those who don't know, IBUs are international bittering units, and it's how you kind of can somewhat judge how bitter a beer might be, but it sometimes doesn't always work that way. But yeah, 40 that seems a little high. Maybe that's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
Got a little bit more in there for me. That's fantastic. I love it. Well, if you guys want to go and try our pick for beer of the week, it's the Professional Pils from Drafting Table in Wixom. It's available in distribution throughout the state of Michigan. Kristen and Aaron, how can people get more information about your brewery and maybe plan not quite a visit, but maybe a curbside pickup right now?
Oh, so one, you go to our website and you go under the shop tab, and that's where you can order beer. We're open Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays for curbside pickup. And then we're super active on Facebook and on Instagram. So head there to see all of our cool beers and check out our different label designs and learn more about us.
I like it. You're still using those design degrees, even though you now own an amazing brewery. I love it. Well, congratulations on your success. Kristen and Aaron Resnick from Drafting Table in Wixom, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, if you want more information about our pick for beer of the week, head to MLive.com.